Hello, this is Paul with the CoCreative Intimacy Podcast. Our topic for today is communication, and specifically, we're going to do an Enneagram Typing interview. And I have a guest today, Jeremy. Hi, Jeremy.
Hi.
Can you tell us something about yourself?
Yeah. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm in my mid-30s and I just do some work. I actually do some video editing work, so that's kind of what I do for a job. But yeah, I think that counseling is really important and I think it's a good thing. And so, yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Okay, cool. Jeremy, tell me something about your background, your educational background.
My education is a little bit scattered, but I actually studied at a technical college is the last thing I did. And I actually studied architectural drafting and design. So it's kind of a technical program.
Yeah.
And I don't currently do that, but that is what I studied in school. So, yeah.
What is your passion when you think about work or career?
Oh man, I mean, it's a little bit tricky, honestly. I've been trying to discover that for a long time. And I don't know if I've totally found that, but I like anything having to do with video and creation of video and things like that. So I would like to do more with that, but I'm not like fully into that. But yeah, I've always had an enjoyment of that and audio and video type stuff as well. So.
Okay. So in attempting to figure out somebody's Enneagram type, it's often good to think about when you were less focused, less healthy. And so for that reason, I like to ask questions about high school. Tell me, what kind of activities did you do in your high school years?
In high school, I was pretty involved in a lot of different like clubs and activities. I tried to stay really active. I really enjoyed being involved in different things and learning things. I wanted to do as much as I could, honestly, with a range of things. And so it was a range from musical things like band, which was like before school jazz band type stuff. And then also just academic clubs. There was like National Honor Society that I was a part of for part of it. I did play some sports a little bit. So I did play lacrosse for a couple of years. So I was involved in some sports. And then also like going into my senior year, I went into student government a little bit. So I actually was involved in a lot of the planning of organizations and activities and was really involved in that way. So I feel like I had a pretty wide range of friends and just kind of wanted to have fun. I wanted to get good grades. And so I studied pretty hard, but also I just wanted to be involved. And I felt like there were so many cool things to get involved in and be interested in that yeah, it was fun. Like I had fun.
Wow. Sounds like you were a busy guy and you were not a couch potato.
Yeah, not in high school. No. I was super busy.
What were your grades like? You mentioned you worked hard. Were they like A's and B's, B's and C's, or what were they?
Yeah, it was mostly A's. I mean, I only got, I think, maybe one B my whole high school. So I did take it seriously. I thought it was important. So yeah, I got good grades.
So when you got that B, did you say to yourself, you know what, I get pretty good grades and a B is fine? Or did you say, you know what, gosh, that kind of bothers me. I really should have worked harder on that.
It did bother me, actually. I was a little bit frustrated. I mean, there's nothing I really could do, but it was a hard class and I was busy with some other stuff. And so I was okay with it, but it was frustrating. Like I wanted to get just top marks. I don't really know why, but yeah.
Did you start dating in high school?
Yeah, I pretty much went to every dance. And so there were definitely dances and activities that I went to. There were a couple girls that I got a little bit serious with, but not until really the end of my senior year did I start dating one girl that became serious. So not until then, really.
So when you were dating, was it more quiet dating where you would go out and do things on your own, or did you really enjoy doing the school activities, the dances and the proms?
Yeah, it was mostly group stuff. I mean, it was mostly that. You know, I can't say I necessarily loved all of that group stuff, but yeah, it was fun. So it was mostly that until my senior year when I got this girlfriend. We started hanging out more individually, but no, until then it was mostly with the group.
So I'm a little puzzled what you said, that you didn't really like the group stuff. What kind of group stuff are you talking about, and what did you mean?
Well, I don't know. I feel a little bit conflicted, honestly. Like, I feel like I had a lot of fun with a lot of friends, and when we would go to dances, it was fun and cool, but there was something, I don't know, there was something inside of me that felt a little, sometimes I just got worn out. I feel like maybe it was a little bit too much social pressure and just so many people and so many different things that sometimes I just felt like I wasn't, I don't know, super comfortable with it. And I feel like dating was a little awkward as well. Just going to dances and being paired up with a girl, I was uncomfortable with that for some reason. I never really felt like I was doing the right things and felt a little awkward. So maybe that's normal, but that's what I meant.
Okay. Are you a person who's very focused on achieving and success?
I like to do a good job with things for sure. And I felt like when I was younger in school, I think that I did have a drive to do that. I feel like I lost quite a bit of that as I got a little older. I got kind of frustrated with what exactly to spend my energies on, but it doesn't mean as much to me anymore. But I do feel like it's important to achieve, I guess. Like I do feel it's important to do well in something, whatever you're doing, just to become proficient and good at it. So yeah, to an extent, yeah.
Tell me what your attitude is about doing things correctly. For example, when you do something, do you then reflect and think, you know what, I could have done this a little bit better?
Yeah, I'm pretty hard on myself. Like, I feel like I'm just, for some reason, I always want to do really well at what I do. And so I feel like anything I do, I just want to be better at it. Like I want people to see me as competent in the thing. And so I do kind of really focus in and get good at the thing that I do. Like I want it to be presentable. I want it to be professional, and I want to work hard and be proud of what I've done.
Yeah, got it. So would you say that you have high standards for yourself?
Yeah, for sure.
Tell me about your relationship with ethics. I want to know, are you a principled person? Do you have a high set of ethical values?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was raised pretty religiously, to be honest. And so I think that was kind of just instilled in me because of my family and community. And so like me personally, yeah, I feel a pretty high sense of that. Sometimes sometimes, I make mistakes or I get off track a little bit, but I think generally speaking, I pay attention to that. Yeah, it's important to me.
If you compare yourself to other of your peers from back then, or even now, who had the same upbringing, the same kind of religious values, the same everything, would you say that you're at the same level of being focused on doing the right thing and ethical values, or are you a little bit higher?
I mean, at the time, I felt I was a little bit like maybe higher, like a little bit above average. Like I wanted to do what my parents asked me. Like I wanted to be a good student and I wanted to be a good person. So yeah. I never really had any desire to really rebel or do anything wrong. And I always felt bad when I did. So yeah, in that sense, maybe a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Got it. Would you say that you have this inner critic that's always saying, whatever I do, I need to do this a little bit better?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure. Sometimes it's to a fault, for sure. Like a lot of times when I was younger, I didn't give myself credit for very many things. And so it was almost like I was hard on myself even when I was doing well, I would say.
So this inner critic that's in you, does it sometimes get to be so intense that sometimes you're criticizing your critic?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as an adult, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Hard on myself for being hard on myself. Yeah, okay. I would say so.
Got it. So, Jeremy, when I first started talking to you, I was thinking that you might be a type 3. you have this polished look. You did so many activities. Type 3 is known as the achiever. But then the more we kept talking, I started getting the feeling that you might be a type 1, which is known as the reformer, or sometimes called the perfectionist. In your own self-study I know you haven't done a lot of work on the Enneagram, but when you did your quick perusal, what type did you think you might be?
Well, I think there were a couple that I was thinking that definitely resonated with me. One was one of them. I was also thinking, I mean, there's a couple, but I kind of ended honestly on number 9 was the one that I was like,
Okay.
I think that might be me. But I also did feel a little bit of 3 as well. I was like, I know that's in me to an extent. So, yeah, not totally sure, but those were kind of my guesses.
Yeah, this is great. So I want to ask you some questions about your relationships. So these could be romantic or with your family or friends, okay? When people say to you, Jeremy, you should have done this a little bit better, or, darn it, you didn't do that. How does that affect you?
I mean, I honestly feel like I'm a little like so critical that I don't know if I ever let it get to that point, really. Like, I don't know if people tell me that very often.
Okay.
And if they did, I think I'd be very disappointed. Like,
Yeah.
It'd be hard for me.
It would be very difficult. Yeah. Have you had any recent romantic relationships?
Yeah.
And how is the criticism in that relationship? That is your self-criticism.
Oh. Well, my last relationship was a little interesting. She was pretty different from me, and she was very vocal. Like, she spoke up a lot. And so she would say a lot of things that, I don't know, kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I don't know. I don't really remember being super critical in those situations. I mean, maybe I was. I'd have to think a little bit, but it was kind of, unfortunately, a little bit towards her, I think. Like, I think a lot of my expectations of myself definitely bled onto her, and it was, I don't know, just not that pretty or not that great, unfortunately, in some ways.
When you were in this relationship, did you ever take a vacation or maybe even a weekend getaway or something?
Away from the relationship?
No, with your partner.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to be honest, it was a weird relationship because it was long distance. And so the few times that I did see her, those were times that we were together. So we did do that a few times. Yeah. Where it was like a week together.
What I'm focusing on is, do you find, and maybe this doesn't work since it was mostly a long distance relationship, but what I'm focusing on is when you're in a relationship, when you go on vacation with your partner, do you find that you're kind of a different person and that you're not self-critical as much? You're enjoying life. You're having fun. You're just really living life.
Yeah, I think it was less for sure. I think it was more enjoyable. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely different challenges that come up with her, but
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Cause like I said, I can't remember too many where I was.
Okay. Well, if you're a type 1, ones can very easily have a workaholic side to them. But what's nice is that when they're on vacation with their family, with their loved ones, there's no work to do. And so they relax, and they're completely different, and they come across really relaxed. Has anybody ever said to you that you're kind of a bit tightly wound up or anything?
No, honestly, I think people see me as pretty laid back.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that people like hanging out with me because I'm really easy to get along with, and I go along well with what other people are doing. I don't come across as high strung around other people. I tend to blend in well with the group when I'm around other people.
Okay. This is interesting information. Okay. when you look at the world around you, everything, do you see a lot of brokenness? Like, you know what? Wow. Do you feel like you have a gift of identifying the brokenness or there's a problem with this structure or this organization or this person? Do you feel like you have a gift, a natural gift for identifying that?
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Okay. So that's very much a type 1 quality. And so from a spiritual perspective, that's the gift you have. That's what God gave you. If you're a type 1, then you're similar to, say, Mahatma Gandhi, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. What's that guy's name in South Africa?
Nelson Mandela.
Yes, thank you. He's a type 1. Very focused, very precise, and their work, their career is about making the world a better place. And they like to hold people to high standards. How do those models that I just mentioned, how do you see them?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have a lot of admiration for people who do things like that. I think I have a strong moral kind of compass where I think that things should be a certain way. And when people don't act that way, it's frustrating for me. Like, I do feel like there's a lot of injustice in the world, and it bothers me, and I wish that I could do more. And yeah, I mean, I think those people are definitely some of my heroes. You know, I watch documentaries about Nelson Mandela or things like that, and it's like, that is, 100% worthwhile cause and person. And yeah, I think they're incredible people for sure.
That's exciting. That's very exciting. Tell me your relationship with art. Do you do anything artistic?
That's a good question, because I feel like I have an artistic side to me. Like, I really do appreciate just beauty in a lot of things. Like, I love beautiful things, and I like to present myself decently well. But as far as just like hobbies, the most artistic thing that I do is just, I've done a lot of video work before. So just kind of videography and things like that, because I like things that are beautiful. And so I don't really create a lot of art, but I've always been pretty artistic. My family, I have some siblings who are like incredibly artistic, like fine artist type people. And so there's definitely an artistic side. I don't fully consider myself like an artist. It's not the biggest interest that I have, but I appreciate it and I like it a lot.
In your relationships, again, these could be romantic or family or friends. Do you find that you tend to be more emotional, or do you find that other people around you tend to be the more emotional ones?
That's a good question. I mean,
let me help you out with that. Would you say that you have lots of emotions, but you try very hard to be regulated with your emotions?
yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah. Like, I experience things really strongly and have strong emotions, but I tend to not. Yeah, I try to manage them well and not act on them so much, or even express them a lot.
Right. So let's look at the diagram. So type 1 is in this gut triad, and you notice the gut triad is 8, 9, and 1. And in this diagram, it's blue. The other triads are heart and head. And so everybody has a heart and a head and a gut. In this case, gut means like your intuition. Notice that there's an underlying emotion in faint letters in each triad. So there's anxiety down here, shame over here. And in this triad, it says anger. So what this means is that types 8s, 9s, and 1s all have a relationship with anger that's a little different. 8s tend to overemphasize their anger. 9s tend to disassociate from their anger, meaning that they may not even know that they're angry, or they may be aware, but they kind of like to ignore that it's there. And 1s are very aware of their anger, but they try to keep it down. They think, especially some people with a religious upbringing, they might even see anger as a flaw, as a sin. And they are very careful to not show anger in an inappropriate way.
Okay.
Does that sound like you?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. I mean, people, I don't know if I've ever really shown my anger fully. I mean, yeah, it's very, very suppressed. I mean, yeah, I would feel, yeah, I would definitely feel like it's the wrong thing to do if I was
Yeah.
angry at somebody.
Okay. Okay. That's exciting. I'm excited because I think I'm feeling a lot of information that tells me that you're probably a type 1.
Cool. Okay.
And again, I can't tell you your type, but this is offered to you for your own personal journey.
Yeah, that's great.
Let's look at the lines connecting to the 1. You see, if you go with the arrow, it goes to 4. And against the arrow, it goes to 7. So if you go with the arrow, it's the direction of stress. Against the arrow is the direction of growth. So think of it as it's easy to go with the arrow, easy to stress, harder to go against the arrow, harder to grow. When a type 1 is stressed out, they might get more emotional. And depending on where they're at, they may not like this part of themselves. Type 4 is also very, very artistic. They are the artist, the most artistic of all of these on the circle, although anybody could be a painter, actor, dancer, writer. Anybody could do that. But 4s, it's kind of the fabric of their being, that they're artists. Think of like Edgar Allan Poe, but he's kind of a difficult one because he's kind of dark. Michael Jackson, think of his videos, and he was just so precise. So he had the combination of that 1 precision and the 4 artistry and grace. Do you tell me a little bit about how you are when you're stressed out?
As far as being emotional, yeah, I mean, I think I'm not exactly sure. It's saying I get more like artistic into myself or something. It's more self-expression, if that goes that way.
So 4s are very, very emotional. Their emotions are all over the floor, laying on the ground, under the bed, on top of the dresser. They're everywhere. You can feel that a 4 is an emotional person just by talking to them. Whereas talking to a 1, you can feel that this person, of course, everybody has emotions, but you can feel the 1 is more regulated. You might even say sometimes stoic, because they're wanting to come across as strong together.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So when I get stressed out, I mean, I have a lot of turmoil on the inside, honestly. So I feel like, honestly, I don't regulate my emotions very well. And I think there's a lot of unhealthy things as far as just being able to express them and get through them. And I think it's a lot of just, self-blame and pity, or even just anxiety or depression. I think it's, I feel emotions really strongly, and it stresses me out. And I think that I don't always deal with that in the most healthy ways, I guess. I didn't really know that, but I'm learning that I think that's probably the case.
Let's say you are working in whatever job you're doing today, and you have plans to meet somebody, maybe your romantic partner. You're going to meet tonight at 7:00, and you're going to meet there, but you're not getting all your work done. Or are you going to explain to your partner, I really need to get this done. I'm going to be 15, 20, 30, whatever minutes late, or maybe more.
I think it depends. I think it just depends on the situation. I think it depends on the workload, and the importance of the work, and what the meeting is, because I could do any of those. If it's really important, I have to get it done, like I'll focus on the work. But if it's something I know that can wait until tomorrow, like I'm pretty good at prioritizing. And so if I know there's something important that I need to do tonight, I'm going to take care of business today to get stuff done in time so I can do that. But, I feel like I'm pretty good at managing, just self-regulating, like the time and the resources. I don't know if that answers your question, or if that's what you're looking for.
So type 1s tend to not enjoy pleasure and fun until they get all of the work done. How does that phrase resonate with you?
I definitely feel like I want to do the things that are most important first and foremost, for sure. Like, it's like I have a list of priorities in my head, and yeah, the ones that are most important, I'd much rather do that than go and have fun. Even though I like having fun, I just feel like there's a certain amount of responsibility to do what I've committed to do, or to do the most important things. So I think I've always kind of like, I know how to have fun and I can have fun, but it's not my top priority. And I think there's more important things beforehand. That's what I think internally.
Yeah. Got it. No, that's very helpful. So let's change the tack a bit to looking at what happens when the one goes against the arrow in the direction of growth. And then they start to manifest the qualities of type 7. 7 is the adventurer. Fun, fun, fun. Let's go to the party. Let's experience life. Let's go out to dinner. All of these things. Do you see yourself ever in that space of just really enjoying life?
If I ever do that, it's kind of on the terms of other people. I think that, I have friends who like to go and do that. And so if they're doing something, they invite me, and it's kind of like organized, and I know the people and I know what's going to be happening. I think I can definitely do that. And like I said, when I was in high school and in school, there was a lot of activities, a lot of events that were fun. But it's not like something that I initiate. It's not something I plan, where it's like, I'm going to plan a party and let's go out to dinner, every weekend or whatever. It's kind of like, and I've always felt that about holidays a little bit too. I'm just like, why do we have to do this every couple months? Like, get together and have a party. And it just kind of gets in the way of scheduled events and like productivity and things. But it's always fun. Like, it's always enjoyable to hang out with family and friends, and it's good. But yeah, I think that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. So let's forget about the holidays, because that's tricky because you got family and all kinds of other dynamics present. Let's talk about when your friends invite you out to go out and have some fun. When you do that, do you enjoy yourself and you think, you know what, this was good for me?
Yeah, I do. I mean, a lot of times I'm like nervous or resistant or something, or maybe just like, we're just going to do nothing again. But I do always enjoy it. And I think it's fun and it's worthwhile, and it's meaningful. So yeah, after I do it, it's good.
Okay. Do you remember the movie as a child, Mary Poppins? Do you remember the story, or is it difficult?
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. I remember it.
So in that movie, Mary Poppins is very much a type 1. And I would call her mostly a healthy one. So she's a nanny for these 2 children, Jane and Michael. She's pretty strict. I mean, it's in Britain, and she's kind of a disciplinarian. She makes them sit up straight and say the right things and put your toys away and make your bed. She's pretty strict. But guess what? The children love her. They just adore her. So that she's got some magic, which literally she's got magic, that the children just love about her. And I think that she's a healthy one because she's connected to this 7. So when she's also dancing on the rooftops with Dick Van Dyke, they're having fun. They're going out and doing these crazy things and going to the rooftop, all of the magic that you see in a children's movie. But that's the beauty of Mary Poppins, is that she has this perfection, this strong desire for excellence. That is who she is. She is excellence. But then she's also able to release and have fun. So that's what makes her, in a fictional movie sense, a healthy one.
Okay, cool.
When you're in a relationship with the 1, this is like advice for your family, friends, and partners. When they're in a relationship with you, what's what's good for them to do with you is to tell you to, you know what, time to get away. Let's go out and have some fun. And it may or may not be easy for you to do that. So let's say nobody made an appointment with you. You know, you don't have anything scheduled, but you're going to work until 7:00 today, right? And somebody calls you up at 6:00 and they say, hey, you know, we got this thing going. Let's go out and have some fun. It might be very hard for you to do that. And I think I've already heard some signs from you that you're kind of a healthy one in many ways, because you said that you're going to assess how important is it, the work that I have to do? Because if it's not that important, it sounds like you're willing to say, you know what, forget that. I'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Is that a correct assessment, that it would be a bit of an agonizing process to decide whether you're going to do it?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Like yeah, I mean, I'm always assessing, you know, it's kind of like a balance in my head too, of like, well, how much have I worked, and am I going to have time for this tomorrow? And, you know, I realize, and, you know, I get burned out. It's not necessarily like I love just grinding and working hard. I mean, there's a point where I'm tired, and I realize just the balance of letting other things in and doing other things. And so I think that it's always important. Yeah, I mean, I kind of have it in the back of my head, I guess, of things that need to get done. But yeah, I feel like I'm willing to let go and have fun. I do enjoy it.
Let's say you're having lunch with somebody. It could be friendship. It could be a business thing, a certain topic. When you're driving back home in your car, are you reflecting on every single word that you said and verifying, did I say that correctly? Did I represent myself correctly? Did I emphasize that too much or not enough? Do you do that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Yeah, I replay things in my head all the time. Yeah, I'm constantly going over, how did it sound? How did I say it? And just interesting things too that they said, or how they said it, or how I said it, and just the whole thing. It's a lot of replaying in my head of everything.
So I think we're pretty much done. I think we've figured out, again, in my observation, that you might be a 1, and you go towards the 7 and you go towards the 4. And so the takeaway for you is take time to relax and go towards that 7 energy. Although 4 is your stress path, don't feel like you need to avoid that, because, you know, most people from now to next week, you're going to stress. So it's a case of when you stress, you will exhibit 4 energy. When you're noticing yourself as more emotional and it makes you, and it bothers you, that's kind of a wake-up call for you. You know what? I'm stressed, because you don't always know that you're stressed until later. So as soon as you can flag that you're stressed, then you can do what you want with that and either stay there and enjoy those emotions or go back or whatever you want.
All right.
So the Enneagram is kind of a map. It helps you to grow. You also mentioned earlier that you thought you might have some type 9 qualities, which is the peacemaker. And that makes sense also, because 1s are focused on wanting to do good for the world. Would you say that's true? And 1s and 9s on the circle are adjacent, which means that they naturally have some shared energy. So what that means is that you may have a 9 wing, some people call it. It means that sometimes you're kind of like a 9, but then only part-time. And then you kind of go back to being a 1. And so what are 9s about? They're focused on easygoing, don't make waves. They have a strong gift of empathy, which I'm sensing that you have that too.
Yeah, for sure. I do.
Yeah. That's a great quality to have, you know?
Yeah, I don't know how you know that, but it is one of my top strengths.
Oh, it was kind of there, I think, in all the way you described yourself. I could see it, the way you talked about your friends and how you respect them and all that kind of thing.
Cool. Right on. So it sounds like you're pretty confident that I'm a 1. Is it, I mean, I guess you're just saying, some of the adjacent numbers can bleed into it, but it's not necessarily, it's not like half and half type of thing. It's like, this is your main person, and then those things can come in here and there.
Yes. So it's encouraged to take on the quality of all of the 9 types. So that's a good quality. The more of that you do, the more well-rounded you are. And that's good. But each person has one core motivation, and your core motivation is to avoid anger. Does that resonate?
Oh, yeah, probably. Which, I mean, that's not good, right?
Well, I would say you need to embrace it. You need to embrace it.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to
embrace that fact of who I am.
So
or embrace anger.
So there's a lot of information on this chart. It's kind of noisy, but for now you can ignore all of these rectangles on the periphery. Let's focus on the circle itself, the numbers around the circle, and the words by each number. So notice that for type 1, the first word is the reformer, which is the title. The second and third words are wings. So a 1 that leans a bit to the 9 is an idealist, and a 1 that leans a bit to the 2 is an advocate. So the 2 is that helping, nurturing energy. So even though you may think, well, I think most people have both wings, or maybe one wing is underdeveloped. So it's normal to feel energy of both sides. The next word is the vice. The vice of the 1 is they're demanding. They're demanding to themselves, sometimes to others. Did you ever see that movie, Meet the Fockers or Meet the Parents?
Yeah.
Funny movie, Robert De Niro, comedy, brings in lots of laughs. So Robert De Niro is an unhealthy 1 in that movie.
Okay. Yeah.
Nobody likes the guy. He's got high standards, Focker, come up here. We're not in the circle of trust, and poor Focker is like scared to death of this guy,
Yeah.
So, and even his wife struggles with him, she loves him, but she struggles because he's so demanding. And in the end of the second movie, which is Meet the Fockers, Barbara Streisand is able to get to him. Barbara Streisand is the guy's mother. So she gets to the girl's dad, Robert De Niro, who's the unhealthy 1, and she's able to help him to relax and have some fun. And that's when he's kind of taking on that 7 energy, and he comes across as very relaxed.
Mm.
So you only get like 2 or 3 minutes of healthy 1 between the 2 movies.
Okay.
But it's a fun one to kind of study how he is and how everybody sees him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this next word here in small black italics is the avoidance. So 1s tend to avoid anger. That's just their natural inner compass. And then the next line is the need to be perfect. That's the need. Everybody has a need, and it's the need to be perfect.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's okay to be perfect, but it's a question of how do you approach it. If you approach it in a way of being very hard with yourself, not so good, not so healthy. But if you can achieve it and be relaxed about it and joke that you didn't get it right every now and then you're in good shape.
Okay.
How has this experience been for you?
Oh man, it's interesting for sure. I think it's pretty it's pretty eye-opening. I mean, I definitely see a lot of truth to it for sure. I mean, it's a little bit uncomfortable. I mean, it's a little bit like, I hate to be, I mean, again, I guess I just see all the negative of potentially the problems that I could have because of that personality, and I don't want to have those things in my life. But yeah, I mean, it's cool too. Like, I think there's some upsides to it, and I can see some real things that, like, at my core, I think that's what I strive for a lot, like that's what I want to do. And that's what's important to me. So I can see some definite truth to that. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like, I think it'd be interesting to learn more about what that means as far as interacting with the world more, and just how to be better with different things and whatever. I mean, sometimes it's frustrating knowing that you're a certain way and maybe wanting to be different or something. Like, I don't know if this is necessarily what I chose to be, but I guess that's what I am. And I guess I choose it. I mean, it's what I want, but I also just feel like it has a lot to do with, and this is like a whole nother thing, but just a lot to do with my dad and how he is and how I was raised. And I don't know if that's the way, like the reason that I am is because that's like the way they trained me, but at the same time, I don't think it totally is, because I have a lot of siblings and I know that they're on totally opposite sides of the spectrum or triangle from me. So this is definitely part of my personality, but yeah, it's that's interesting. I mean, I look forward to kind of just going and reading more about the number one for sure too, and just seeing how that feels for me and what that's like and what I can learn about that for myself. I think that'd be really interesting, because I was thinking, I mean, like I said, there were a bunch that I was thinking I probably could be or had a part of. And I was thinking a little bit of the number 9, but at the same time, I know that I have this kind of internal kind of drive, and there's a little bit more than just peace. Like, I'm not like the nicest guy in the world. I realize that, like I stand up for things, and I don't like to do, like, I'm pretty stubborn. I don't like to do things that I think are wrong or just dumb. And so I can see that there's other aspects to it, but also, like when I read number 4, the individualist one, that really like touched me as well. I was like, this is beautiful and this is really cool. And I just like that kind of individualist thing where it's you're expressing yourself. But at the same time, again, I realized I'm not that person. Like, I'm not that person that sits and is just dreaming and just doing art all the time. Like, it's definitely not me. Like, I like to be focused and get things done. So anyway, yeah, lots of thoughts. I mean, that gives me tons to think about. I think it's super interesting. I would like to ask, would you mind if I just asked one question real quick?
Of course.
One thing I think is really interesting is the heart, the mind, and the gut. So I've always kind of had this battle for myself of like, am I more in my head or in my heart with like feelings and stuff? Because I feel really strongly, but also I like to think about things and analyze things. And I've always felt relatively intelligent. And so it's interesting to bring in this gut aspect, which I've never really, I don't know. I guess I know what intuition is, but how would you describe to me like what that means as far as all of it, as far as the gut goes? Like, what is that? It's just a thing where you're just kind of know internally, intrinsically what to do or what to think. Is that kind of what it means? It's not the head or the heart?
I would say yes. So to me, when I think of the gut, I think of intuition. So people that are feeling based, 2s and 4s especially, it's obvious when you observe these people that they're making decisions from their heart or how they feel, their emotions. Mm-hmm. And people that are in the head triad, like 5s and 7s especially, they're always making decisions out of their head. They're very logical, analytical analysis. Now, everybody does all of these things, but a 1 is going to approach it that they may weigh in with the heart, they may weigh in with their head, with the analysis, but ultimately their principle, they have ethics. It's something that's not palpable. That's how you make your decision.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Interesting.
Does that resonate at all?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think so. Because it's like, I always try to think about the different two, and I don't feel like I'm one or the other. I mean, like I bounce back and forth, but at the same time, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So I think the takeaway for you is you're an amazing human being a type 1, knowing that you can accomplish a lot. You can reform institutions, and you can give great advice to broken processes. You have that. That's your gift. You're also a good judge. You're very fair. You're going to listen to sides of the story, and somebody can start crying, doesn't matter. You will be empathetic to their crying, but you're not going to let their crying sway your decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In fact, I can see you being very empathetic to their turmoil, but at the same time, that's not going to factor in. So that's the beauty of the one. You're very even keeled.
Yeah, that's very true. I definitely resonate with that.
When you look at what every type in the Enneagram offers the world, we're in this big community. Every type has a gift to offer. So there's other people who don't have this precision, this ethical drive, and you are good to be near them, or they benefit from your presence because they need that.
Cool.
So I would say, be yourself, enjoy yourself, embrace that. And definitely embrace having fun, going to the 7, but also enjoy those emotions. They're good for you too.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.